Hello everyone, this is Grace. It is October the 29th, 2020, and we are going to be doing a prophetic reading of Daniel 2 in this video. Okay, let's go ahead and say a prayer. Dear Father, please, thank you for bringing us here together to learn of your word and your truth. Please send down the Holy Spirit to bless us and guide us and to teach us your will, your word, your truth. In Yeshua's name we pray. Amen. Okay, let's go ahead and get to it. Daniel 2, verse 1. And in the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar dreamed dreams, wherewith his spirit was troubled, and he slept, and his sleep brake from him. Then the king commanded to call the magicians and the astrologers, and the sorcerers and the Chaldeans, for to shew the king his dreams. So they came and stood before the king. And the king said unto them, I have dreamed a dream, and my spirit was troubled to know the dream. Then spake the Chaldeans to the king in Syriac, O king, live forever. Tell thy servants the dream, and we will shew the interpretation. The king answered and said to the Chaldeans, The thing is gone from me. If ye will not make known unto me the dream, with the interpretation thereof, ye shall be cut in pieces, and your houses shall be made a dunghill. But if ye shew the dream, and the interpretation thereof, ye shall receive of me gifts and rewards and great honor. Therefore shew me the dream, and the interpretation thereof. They answered again and said, Let the king tell his servants the dream, and we will shew the interpretation of it. The king answered and said, I know of certainty that ye would gain the time, because ye see the thing is gone from me. But if you see the thing is gone from me, he's forgotten. But if ye will not make known unto me the dream, there is but one decree for you, for ye have prepared lying and corrupt words to speak before me, till the time be changed. Therefore tell me the dream, and I shall know that ye can shew me the interpretation thereof. The Chaldeans answered before the king, and said, There is not a man upon the earth that can shew the king's matter. Therefore there is no king, lord, nor ruler, that asks such things at any magician or astrologer or Chaldean. And it is a rare thing that the king requireth, and there is none other that can shew it before the king except the gods, whose dwelling is not with flesh. For this cause the king was angry and very furious, and commanded to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. And the decree went forth that the wise men should be slain, and they sought Daniel and his fellows to be slain. Then Daniel answered with counsel and wisdom to Arioch, the captain of the king's guard, which was gone forth to slay the wise men of Babylon. Now Daniel and Arioch were friends, so Daniel could speak to him, personally. He answered and said to Arioch, the king's captain, Why is the decree so hasty from the king? Then Arioch made the thing known to Daniel. And we know from chapter 1 that they're friends. Then Arioch made the thing known to Daniel. Then Daniel went in and desired of the king that he would give him time, and that he would shew the king the interpretation. And Daniel went to his house and made the thing known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions, that they would desire mercies of the God of heaven concerning this secret, that Daniel and his fellows should not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. Then was the secret revealed unto Daniel in a night vision. Then Daniel blessed the God of heaven. Daniel answered and said, Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his. And he changeth the times and the season. He removeth kings and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise, and knowledge to them that know understanding. He gives wisdom to the wise, those that know the truth, knowledge to them that know understanding, those that do the truth. He revealeth the deep and secret things. He knoweth what is in the darkness, and the light dwelleth with him. I thank thee and praise thee, O thou God of my fathers, who hast given me wisdom and might, and hast made known unto me now what we desire of thee, for thou hast now made known unto us the king's matter. Therefore Daniel went in unto Arioch, whom the king had ordained to destroy the wise men of Babylon. He went and said thus unto him, Destroy not the wise men of Babylon. Bring me in before the king, and I will shew unto the king the interpretation. Then Arioch brought Daniel before the king in haste, and said thus unto him, I have found a man of the captains of Judah, that will make known unto the king the interpretation. The king answered and said to Daniel, whose name was Belshazzar, Art thou able to make known unto me the dream which I have seen, and the interpretation thereof? Let me stop here for a minute. Let's go back up here. Okay, I have, if you're an Adventist, you'll recognize the name Doug Batchelor. I watched this video on this years ago. A long time ago. He did a video on Daniel too. And in the video, he mentioned that he thinks that Daniel might have even put a time limit on how long he should, like give us a day or something like that. I remember he said it wasn't longer than a day. Maybe he said till the next day or a day or something like that. But anyway, I've always remembered that. And I think that this is where he got that from. Now, he may have got it from another source. I'm not sure. He never said. But I think that he got it from this verse right here. And I do believe it. Because if you look at this verse, this is what gives it away right here. See, Arioch was friends with Daniel. But when you have an angry king, because it said the king was furious, and you have an angry king, you're not going to bring somebody in front of him and say, he's going to tell you your dream, unless the king has already told you to wait. You see what I'm saying? He's not just going to go in and take credit for Daniel if the king has told him to kill the people, to kill the soothsayers and the king has gave him an order to slay them. All right, because otherwise, if he goes in there and he says, I found a man of the captains of Judah that will make known unto the king the interpretation, he might just as well have said, hey, king, well, you're dumb. Well, maybe not you're dumb. Maybe that's an extreme. But look, I'm smarter than you are. And I know you said to kill these men, but I decided I was just going to ask them all anyway, in spite of what you said. And this one said that he can tell you the interpretation. So now he stands Daniel in front of him. And what if Daniel is mistaken? What if Daniel doesn't know the dream? Then whose head's going to be on the chopping block then? No, he's not going to run in there like that. What happened was, this is what I see in this verse right here. Daniel probably went in there and said, hey, look, you talked to your people. You didn't talk to us. At least give us time. At least give us time to try and get the answer. And so the king told Arioch, okay, you go through, talk to the people of the captives of Judah, Jerusalem. And if you find someone that can make the interpretation, fine. If not, go ahead and slay them all. Then, if Daniel walked in there and said, take me to the king, I can tell the interpretation, then he could say, hey, I found a man of the captives of Judah, and that will make known unto the king the interpretation. So why does it have to be a day? Because he doesn't explain anything. He doesn't say, hey, remember last week when you told me to look among the captives and try to find, hey, remember this? No, he just walks in and says, hey, I found a man. He had to know what was going on, and it had to have been a very short period of time. And it just makes sense, since it was at the forefront of his mind to where he could just walk in there with very little explanation and say, I found someone. It makes sense that they had to have made arrangements the day before for him to go and look for someone. Anyway, that always stuck with me. And so I thought I would share it because I believe it's true. And I believe he gets it from this verse. The king answered and said to Daniel, whose name is Belshazzar, art thou able to make known unto me the dream which I have seen and the interpretation thereof? Daniel answered in the presence of the king and said, the secret which the king hath demanded, cannot the wise men, the astrologers, the magicians and the soothsayers shew unto the king. But there is a God in heaven that revealeth secrets, and maketh known to the king Nebuchadnezzar what shall be in the latter days. Thy dream and the visions of thy head upon thy bed are these. And it's funny, this here is worded dream, visions, head. Hold on. Thy dream, visions, head upon bed, these. But it's dream visions. They provided the other words. Okay, let's continue. As for thee, O king, thy thoughts came into thy mind upon thy bed, what should come to pass hereafter? And he that revealeth secret maketh known to thee what should come to pass. But as for me, the secret is not revealed to me for any wisdom that I have more than any living, but for their sakes that shall make known the interpretation to the king. Let me read that again. The last part. But for their sakes that shall make known the interpretation to the king, and that thou mightest know the thoughts of thy heart. Okay. Thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. This image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet of iron. His legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet, that were of iron and clay, and brake them to pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floor. And the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain, and filled the whole earth. And I believe that this is an error. This should be iron and clay. Not the iron, the clay. No, it's the iron and clay. And you'll see why as we go through. This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Now this is the important part. This is the part we really need to know. Thou, O king, art a king of kings, for the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the fields and the fowls of the heaven, hath he given into thine hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. Now it's very important that we understand this part, because this is telling us what is so special about all of these kingdoms. Okay, what's so special about them? So let's go back and reread this again. He says, thou art a king, thou, O king, art a king of kings, for the God of heaven has given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. So there are a lot of kingdoms that have power and strength and glory. So let's read on. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the fields and the fowls of the heaven, hath he given into thine hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. Okay. See now, if you are familiar with the Bible, I'll just tell you that Babylon, the way this is worded, it's all the children of men. Well, that's everyone. What is it? Adam and Eve? Adam and Eve? That's everyone in the world, if it's children of men. Because everyone is the child of a man. We know that there were other kingdoms outside of Babylon. Babylon was not overthrown from within. Medo-Persia came from outside of Babylon and overthrew Babylon. So this cannot mean that wheresoever the entire world was under the control of Babylon. So we have to figure out what this means. And then that will give us clarity on what is the significance of these kingdoms that are listed here. So we are going to have to investigate again the word men. So I actually had prepared something, but I think it'll be easier if we just do a search of Daniel. And we're going to look at all of the occurrences of men, and then we're going to look at all of the occurrences of man in Daniel. Okay, so we're going to look just at the verses in Daniel 1 through 7. So this is men first. So, oh, hold on. We want to look at the number. So, men here. Where is it? Okay, we don't need this one because it should be highlighted though. For some reason it's not highlighting it. Let's continue. We don't need that one because it's in italics. So it's that. Okay, let me try something else because it's not highlighting it for some reason. Let's try and redo it. Now we're only going to look at the ones that are not in italics. Here we go. Here's one. And it's still not highlighting them. Okay, we're not going to use this. We'll just use the list that I made. Men and men, chapter. Okay, there's 33 verses, so we're going to try to go through it fairly quickly. Okay, so men here is H606, corresponding a man. Whosoever. It's just a man. Very general. Man, H1400. A certain man. So that's a particular man that is specified out of a group of men. H606. H606. Okay, this is just great in Daniel. I forgot to take that one out of there. H606. H1400. 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 H606. 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 Almost through, you guys. H606. H1400. H606. H1400. H606, H1400, H606, H1400, H1400. Here's something different. To exist. Self-seek, slay, take hold. So that's really not, it's really not man. It's really supposed to be like someone that every I make a decree that every dominion of my kingdom men tremble. So everyone trembles. Okay? Let's continue. Have a couple more. H606. 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 Is that it? That's it. So you notice, I know that you noticed that's the reason why I went through them, every single one, is that they only used two, really. Two definitions of men, and both of them were very generic. Just one line, man or a select man. So now we're going to take a look at 8 through 12. Chapters 8 through 12. Now there's only 13 here, so it shouldn't take that long. So, men right here. H376. This is a paragraph long. A man as an individual or a male person, often used as an adjunct to a more definite term, and in such cases frequently not expressed in translation. Also another, any man, a certain champion, consists each, every one, fellow man, good, great, mighty man, be high degree, him, that is, husband, mankind, none, one people, person, steward, what man soever, whatsoever, worthy, compare. Okay, so you guys, we got that one. Okay. Men, H376. H120. This is the one that we saw in Genesis. Ruddy, that is human being. Another, hypocrite, common sort, low man, mean of low degree, a person. H1397. As a matter of fact, I don't think we're going to go through all of these, because I think all of them are one of those three. Properly a valiant man or a warrior, generally a person, simply everyone, man, ex-mighty. Okay, well, we'll just go through them. There wasn't that many. Man, H120. H120. H376. 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 H120. H376. 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 And that's it. Now, let's just consider, okay, let's just consider what we just saw. In the first 7 chapters, there was 2 general terms used for men. And then when the language changed into Aramaic in chapter 8, when the language changed, then all of a sudden the word for men became much more detailed and much more, there were much more variations of the word that described something other than just a basic man, right? So what's going on here? Well, we know what's going on. There is a language barrier here. When the scribe wrote chapters 1 through 7, that was not his native language. He did not know the descriptive word for man or men. We didn't even go through all of them. We did go through all of them. I searched men and men in my list. Okay, so he didn't know the descriptive word for men. But once he went back to his native tongue of Aramaic, then he was able to use the correct words. And so they were translated correctly. Not so with the word man. Now, I'm not saying any of the other words are general words, but I'm saying the word for man is a general. He used too many variations in the other interpretation that were too detailed in describing the man to just use the general term for man through the entirety of chapters 1 through 7. Let me show you chapter 4. Let's just look at the chapter 4 here. I don't remember which verse it is here. I can't remember which verse it was I wanted to look at. Let his heart be changed from man's, and let a beast's heart be given unto him, and let 7 times pass over him. Well, see, this is the perfect opportunity. This is a great opportunity to use something general other than men. Shall drive you from men. They shall drive thee from men, and a beast shall be with thee. I can't remember. I'm sorry. I can't remember what I read in chapter 4. We have to go back. But my point is that there's a language barrier here. So we have to figure this out on our own. And we'll go ahead. I think we can get through it in the next 5 minutes. It'll take us over just a little. So when he says the children of men, we already know that it's not the entire world. Nebuchadnezzar did not rule the entire world. And they're speaking of the children of God throughout the book so far. He says, he said, and the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. So they're talking about the church. Then here, when it says, thou, O king, art a king of kings. What does that mean? Well, the people of God are going to be kings and priests. He is a king. He is a king of kings because he is over the people of God. If we read on a little bit further, it goes further in the explanation. And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And we know that the earth is the church in prophecy. So when he says, and wheresoever the children of men dwell, what he's saying is, wheresoever the people of God dwell. The beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven hath he given into thine hand, and has made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. Because it cannot be all the people. It cannot. It is the king. He is the king of the kings, and he bears rule over all of the people of God. That's what's being said here. So now we know what is so special about all of these kingdoms. Now we know that's the primary focus of all of these kingdoms. We're going to leave off there. And, let's read through. Well, let's just read through this next verse here. Well, let's read through this again. And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces, and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. Now, this isn't a thorough study, but we do want to know what these kingdoms are, so let's look at that real quick. Okay, so the first kingdom was Babylon. And we know that the next kingdom, now I didn't go into the details about where to find this in the Bible. I just found one verse. I think that most people are familiar with it. If not, there's a lot of information out there about these kingdoms. This is like very common knowledge. But I did find the verses. I found one verse. Okay, so the ram which thou sawest having two horns are the kings of Media and Persia. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. So this is referencing the second kingdom and the third kingdom. And then, on the third kingdom, and then Luke 2:1, and it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augusta that all the world should be taxed. Okay, so Caesar Augusta was the ruler, and we know that that is one of the rulers for Rome. So it was Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, then Rome. Those were the first four kingdoms. We're going to stop there, and we'll come back, and we will pick up. Did we read this? And the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. So we'll pick up at 41 when we come back. All right. Bye.